She commandeered the basement of her dorm building the minute she realized that she'd have to pull an all-nighter for her final exam. Heather, after her exam, would be on the next flight home to Santa Monica, where she'd finally be able to lay out on the beach, bask in the sun, and not have a care in the world. Her roommate Jenna liked to get to bed early, so she packed up everything that she could, whether it was highlighters or extra pencils or her notes. She grabbed it all and rushed downstairs and plopped herself in a chair and studied and studied and studied until her brain went crazy. Ding, ding. The clock struck 2 a.m. It was already 2 a.m. Heather just could not believe it. She began frantically looking around for her math solutions manual book, and finally, after all this flustering, she realized she left it upstairs on her bed in the dark with Jenna sleeping. So she dragged herself up, shoulders hunched, walked herself over to the stairs, grabbed the railing with both hands, and started pulling all the way up to the 3rd floor. When she got up there, the hallway was a little bit dimmer than usual, so she was a little bit confused. But the moment she reached her door, she realized she'd have to be extra quiet. So she turned the door handle just a little bit, enough for her to slide right into her room and close the door behind her. It was so strange. She noticed this awful metallic smell in the room, and she immediately got chills on her arms. Pitch black as could be, she decided to continue looking for her book and try as best as she could to not wake up Jenna. So she pressed her hands up against the cold concrete and started feeling around until finally she reached the edge of her bed frame. Drip, drip. Heather was so confused. What was that dripping noise? It must have been the bathroom faucet again. Great. She's going to have to call facilities again tomorrow morning and get it fixed before she leaves. Just another thing she has to worry about. Finally, Heather's reaching for her book on her bed and closes her hands around the book and then notices another strange sound. Jenna was breathing really heavy on the far side of the room, almost as if maybe she had a stuffy nose and just couldn't breathe out of her nose. So Heather just shook it off and decided to head back for the foyer downstairs. She tiptoed to the door where you could just barely see the lighting in the frame, opened the door and slipped right out and back down the stairs. And then she popped herself back in her chair and was there until 6 a.m., her nose just glued to her textbook. Then she decided that enough was enough. She couldn't handle it anymore. She decided that, she could get a couple hours of sleep before her 9 a.m. exam, and life was going to be great. So she made her way back upstairs, opened the door just a little bit, and immediately her nose was filled with that same stench of metallic, who knows, before she realized what was exactly in front of her. Jenna was spread-eagled on top of her bed, her throat sliced from ear to ear, her dress just drenched in dark blood, and her blanket slowly dripping blood to the floor. Drip, drip, just like her bathroom faucet. Heather screamed with a blood curdling that you could hear from miles away. And then you could hear doors slamming down the hallway and people running straight down the hallway, straight to her room. Everybody just could not believe what was before their eyes. One of Heather's friends gripped her arm with a trembling arm and pointed with her other finger towards the same wall she had just gripped a few hours before. Heather's eyes bulged and she couldn't take it anymore. She fainted in her friend's arms. what was on the wall were words written in Jenna's blood. Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?